All right, thanks for joining us tonight. Steve, do you want to go ahead and take it from here?
Good evening, and welcome to this community meeting to discuss the Hopper Avenue Corridor Fire Recovery Improvements Project. My name is Steve Brown, and I'm with the City of Santa Rosa, and I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening. As members of the public join the meeting, you will be participating as an attendee. Your microphone and camera will be muted. Only today's presenters will be viewed during the meeting. The City of Santa Rosa is committed to creating a safe and inclusive environment free from disruption. We will not tolerate any hateful speech or actions and will monitor that everyone is participating respectfully, or they will be removed. If necessary, we will also immediately end the meeting. This meeting is being recorded and will be placed on the project website, hopperavproject.com, a few days after the meeting. At the end of the presentation, Felicia will open up the meeting for public questions and comments. And I'll now pass to Felicia to provide a brief overview of the project.
Thank you, Steve. Tonight, after introducing our presenters, we will briefly review the purpose and the scope of this project, upcoming construction activities, and what residents can expect during construction. Lastly, we will conclude with your questions and comments. Next slide. At this time, I would like to introduce tonight's presenters and panelists. I'm Felicia Ong with the City of Santa Rosa's Transportation and Public Works Capital Projects Engineering and the project manager for this project. I'll provide a brief overview of the project and scope of work. You have already met Steve Brown, who is hosting tonight's meeting, and construction manager Matt Vale with DCCM will then provide details on the construction activities and potential impacts this project may have on residents and businesses. Subject matter experts with us tonight, serving as panelists for the Q&A portion of the meeting, include Mercedes Binz-Hahn, Transportation and Public Works Assistant Traffic Engineer, and Neil Bregman, Santa Rosa Fire Department Emergency Preparedness Manager. Next slide. This project focuses on restoring a key section of Hopper Avenue that was damaged during the 2017 Tubbs fire and subsequent debris removal efforts. It's one of the final major projects in the fire recovery efforts, marking an important milestone in rebuilding and strengthening the community's infrastructure. In 2021, the City Council dedicated a portion of PG&E settlement funds to support this work, and in February 2026, the city awarded the $4.7 million construction contract to Argonaut Constructors, moving the project into the construction phase. As part of that timeline, we acknowledge some work will take place during the fire season. We want everyone to know that emergency access and evacuation routes will be maintained at all times. The city is coordinating daily with emergency services to ensure full access through the project area, and this project represents an important step in restoring a critical roadway connection for the Coffee Park community. Next slide. So the project will improve about 3,500 linear feet of Hopper Avenue. The goal is not only to restore the roadway, but also to make the corridor safer and more functional for drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians. Improvements include wider sidewalks, additional pedestrian crossings, bulb outs, protected bike lanes, new medians, traffic calming measures, and drought-tolerant landscaping. The project also includes underground utility work, including sewer and water realignment. Many of these improvements reflect the community's feedback and are designed to reduce road noise, slow traffic, improve safety for pedestrians and cyclists, and enhance the overall look and feel of the corridor. Next slide. This map shows the full extent of the project area. The project is focused along Hopper Avenue between Highway 101 and Coffee Lane. Work will take place along the roadway corridor, including intersections, adjacent sidewalks, and sections of the cross streets of Hopper. Construction will occur in phases along the corridor to help minimize disruption as much as possible. I will now hand it over to Matt Vale to discuss the construction activities and potential impacts to the public.
Thank you, Felicia. So I just want to go through some of the general phases of the construction project and some brief explanation and go into a little more detail in a few later slides. Obviously, the first item of work is going to be mobilization, which will include the establishment of traffic control measures, water pollution control measures, and public notifications. The second phase will be the underground utility work. We are installing both new electrical circuits for the street lights as well as a crossing beacon and underground utilities for the irrigation and controls of the median strip landscaping. Third step will be the curb ramp and curb gutter replacements along Hopper Avenue and the side streets of Crestview and Skyview. We will be constructing bulb outs and median islands. The center lane on Hopper will be replaced with median islands. And then closer to the final steps will be the grinding of the asphalt and the overlay with a new paving surface, followed by striping and the planting. I'm sorry, I missed a step. We've got the street lights and then what we call an RRFB, or a rectangular rapid flashing beacon for the pedestrian crossings, one at Crestview and one at the just east of Piner Creek. And then we'll follow up with the finish up, which will be the striping of the new pavement and the planting of the median strips. Next slide. So I'm presuming that most of you are residents of the Coffee Park area, so you're somewhat familiar with this work of the replacement of the curbs, curb ramps, curb and gutter, etc. You know, we went through there about a year and a half ago to replace, I think it was about 125 curb ramps out there. The other element that we'll be constructing are what are called bulb outs, and they basically narrow the intersections at the crosswalks, and they provide kind of a traffic calming, and also they shorten the transit distance for pedestrians crossing the street. Next slide. I think this will be everyone's favorite activity, the grinding of the asphalt and the replacement of the paving. Again, if you were in the neighborhood when we came through, you're somewhat familiar with the grinding of the existing asphalt surface. There's a large tractor grinding rig that will surface the asphalt, grinding down about 3 to 4 inches. And then the new asphalt will be placed over this surface. So the finish elevation of the new streets will be the same as they are currently. So your drive will line up with the new asphalt surface. Next slide, please. Raising iron. And I wanted to go into this because I've heard that there were questions about, well, the center slide shows a picture. There's a manhole at the location of that hole. And then the picture to the right is one of the workers raising that cover. And the question was, well, why did you just pave the street only to poke holes in it? And there is a logical reason, which is the grinding that's shown in the left picture. Basically, if we didn't lower the manhole frames and covers, they would be sheared off and damaged during this operation. And there are too many of them to try to work our way around. So the most efficient way to do this is actually to come in, lower the manhole frames or remove the manhole frames and place a steel cover on the opening. Then we grind through, repave. We very carefully mark the locations of the manholes and covers so that we can come back and open them up after the fact, and then they get reset to the new finished grade. But there is a method to our madness. Next slide, please. We did talk about a little bit about the bulb outs, and the companion to the bulb outs are these RRFB crossings, and I think you've seen them around town. Basically, there are three series of poles and lights and a signal button that the pedestrians can activate to cross the street. And basically, if you'll remember from driving around, there's a triangle line that is about 40 feet from the crossing, and cars will stop at that line so that you are safe when crossing across this busy street. And then obviously the landscaping of the medians will be in there. All right, and then followed up with striping. Obviously, the new we will establish the lines and stop bars, crosswalks, etc., turn arrows as we go through. Next slide. So, I think Felicia alluded to this. The duration of the project is approximately 6 months, which will put us sometime in early or late October, early November for completion. The typical hours of work for many of the activities will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. There will be some lane closures associated with the work. The activities that will be performed during the daylight hours are the underground utilities, the concrete work called the sidewalks, curb gutters, and median islands. The grind and overlay of the Hopper Avenue will take place at night, and there's a reason to do this. One is we are going to end up closing the on-ramp, off-ramp at Hopper Avenue, and Caltrans will require that that work is done at night. In order to facilitate the most efficient completing of the paving, it's better to just have a night crew rather than try to have a night crew for part of the work and a day crew for another part of the work. It will be more efficient and quicker if we just go through and do all the paving at night. So that's something you can anticipate. It will be from the hours for paving operations will be from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. And because we can do it in this manner, it should take only about a week to complete that work. Next slide. Impacts to the neighborhood. Obviously, we have emergency services with us to answer questions, but as a practice, we coordinate on a daily basis. The construction contractor and our group will work with emergency services so that they're aware of where we are working. We will stop work immediately in the event of an emergency, or if a first responder needs to have access to the project site, we will stop immediately. And so there will be no impacts to emergency vehicles accessing your neighborhoods. There will be some street closures during various phases, more like lane closures as opposed to street closures. Those impacts will be you'll receive notifications in several ways. Our contractor will be putting out door hangers on your front door. We have a weekly newsletter that we'll publish. There's also a website regarding the project, and then we will have what are called programmable and changeable message signs. Those will be placed on Hopper Avenue with information regarding the project. There will be some parking marked out. Most of the work is on Hopper Avenue, so there won't be parking taken on the side streets. There is some work on Crestview and Skyview. We will take probably 5 or 6 parking spots on both those streets. We will post those no parking areas 72 hours in advance. Next slide, please. Delivery of mail, trash pickup, all of those services will be accommodated because we're not coming into the neighborhoods. We're really just working on Hopper Avenue. So we will have traffic lanes open all the time on Hopper Avenue. So the mail and the Recology and UPS and FedEx can all reach into the neighborhoods with deliveries. One of the impacts, obviously, of the grinding operations is dust and gravel. We will mitigate that. The contractors are required to sweep the streets at the end of each shift every day. So we will have regular housekeeping activities taking place. And then access to driveways and properties. Again, there are businesses on the eastern end of the project. We will certainly provide notifications to those businesses. And to the extent that we can, we'll always maintain access to those businesses along Hopper Avenue. All right, next slide. If you have any concerns or issues during construction, I know Felicia referred to our firm as DCCM, which is actually correct. We used to be Coastland Engineering, and I always refer to us as Coastland because I don't know how to spell DCCM. So if you see our inspector, he'll be wearing a Coastland or a DCCM vest, and you can reach out and contact them at any time if you have questions. Next slide, please. So I think at this point, Felicia, you want to talk about the groundbreaking?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So before we move into the questions, we'd like to invite you to an upcoming milestone for the project. We'll be hosting a groundbreaking ceremony on Tuesday, April 14th at 10 a.m. The event will take place along Hopper Avenue near the Airway Drive intersection, right next to Pioneer Creek. Watch for event signage when you arrive, and please park along residential streets. Residents and community members are welcome to attend. And for additional details, we encourage you to visit the project website at www.hopperavproject.com. Now I'll hand it back to Steve to discuss the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Felicia. So once we get underway with the question period, anyone wishing to ask a question or make a comment can raise your hand in Zoom. For individuals participating in the meeting by telephone, you can dial *9 to raise your hand. I will then call on the public one by one who have their Zoom hands raised and will unmute your microphone so you can ask your question. Once you've raised your hand and asked your question or shared your input, your hand will be lowered and your microphone will be muted so our panelists can respond to your question. Okay, so we will begin, and if anyone has a question, feel free to go ahead and raise your hand in Zoom. Okay, our first question comes from Jamie Smedes. If you would like to go ahead and make a comment. And Jamie, it appears that your mic is muted. Oh, okay. All right, thank. Well, it appears I have nobody with their hand up at the moment. Okay. The first question or comment comes from Sean P. Sean, when I unmute you, you can state your name for the record if you so choose, and you should be able to ask your question now.
Hi, thank you, Steve. Sorry about that. I came in a little late, and so I'm sorry if you already said this, and I know that you're recording it, but how far down is the progress going around the corner on Hopper? Is it stopping right at the light, or is it going to go all the way around to the overpass?
Hi, Sean. Thank you for your question. So the paving will stop right at the intersection, but there will be some striping that continues past the intersection, just around the bend there.
Okay, so where all the tore up is around El Pollo Loco and around that side where all that road still tore up, that's not going to be repaired from the same damage that was caused by all the semi trucks coming down Fountain Grove and going on the southbound freeway. Is that what I'm
This
understanding?
project is not going to cover that.
Okay.
Mercedes, do you have an idea of, no, okay. That is something definitely I can look into for you of when that street will be repaved.
Okay.
If you could just email our email.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that way we have some contact information and can get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, the email will be posted shortly, Sean, for you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And again, if anyone has a question, feel free to raise your hand. Okay, our next question comes from Chris Shear. Chris, you should be able to ask your question now. You'll have to unmute your microphone, Chris.
There we go.
Chris, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, it showed that it was unmiked. This is more a comment. I live in Coffee Park, and when we got your letter and in the mail, thank you very much. We're excited that this is happening. It's kind of the last phase for us, and we were thrilled to see that Argonaut received the contract. They did the street repaving, and they were very efficient and very respectful. And it was nice to see a local company getting the work. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Our next comment or question comes from Wendy. Wendy, if you'd like to state your name for the record, you should be able to talk at this point.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. My question was, I live on Skyview Drive, and right now making it going out south towards Hopper and trying to make a left-hand turn is getting more and more difficult. Will you be providing um attendance or flag people during this process? Because what I have seen with your traffic calming is that it may get actually harder for me to go east on Hopper from Skyview.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you for your question. Mercedes, can you help answer this one?
Yeah, are you looking both for during construction and what the final results too?
Yes,
Okay. So during construction, I'm assuming depending how the roads close or the lanes closed, there could be a flagger there helping, especially if pedestrian access needs it. And then after the project, it's one lane in each direction currently, and we have a little bike buffer in there. So these strategies are part of ones that are hoping to get speed limits down in the area. And then I think with the better painting on there, I think you guys have buttons out there, you'll see the lines a little better, and hopefully that helps you get out along there.
it is the traffic that is going east and west, especially in the evening.
Mhm.
And with the lane structures that we have right now and the new projects that are going in on the other side of Mendocino, I am seeing much more traffic um, using Hopper as a get along or, as a substitute for Piner Road. So I am seeing more problems with the narrower lanes.
We also review the street so I can see what it looks like after. And additionally, if there's a study that we can do to see, but I think this lane structure could help. And with the bulb outs, you have the crossings are a little shorter as well. So, but we can definitely do a study within traffic to see, but I think they did a lot of studies beforehand to see the striping for this.
Did they do the study during COVID?
I am not sure.
Okay, because during COVID, there were fewer and fewer people on the road. I'll stop now and let other people.
Okay.
Uh,
And we'll continue to monitor it. If we see any issues, you can always call that hotline too, so that we can work on changing the structure if it needs to be, if you're blocked in there, find you an alternative route too.
yeah, I'm blocked in often.
Yeah.
I I have to sometimes go up towards Coffee Park. I have to go around the neighborhoods and try and go that way and take coffee out and then try and go east because I can't make the left-hand turn off my street.
Okay, I'll make a note of that and we'll keep an eye on it.
Perfect. Thank you, Wendy. And our next question or comment comes from Halbert Stone. Halbert, you should be able to ask your question or make your comment now. Once you unmute. Albert, it looks like you lowered your hand. Perhaps you weren't wanting to make a comment. Please raise your hand back up if you did want to make a comment. And anyone else that would like to make a comment, please feel free to raise your hand. Currently, we have no one with their hand up. Okay, it looks like Kathleen Burgess is our next person with a comment. Kathleen, you should be able to unmute and ask your question now.
Okay. It sounds like it's going to be beautiful, with the landscape island and the wider sidewalks with the planter strips and such. But who's going to be responsible for maintaining the landscape? Right now, it seems like just recently the waist-high weeds were mowed down, but prior to that, I've seen different people out there actually pulling weeds on the other side of their fence, probably because it was a fire hazard. So is there funding for maintaining this landscape, or how is that going to be addressed?
Yeah, thank you, Kathleen, for your question. So parks will be responsible for the maintenance of it. I believe in the past there was a city ordinance that was issued making the homeowners responsible for the landscaping on the other side of that sound wall. But now parks will be taking over the maintenance for that section.
Okay, and I know that the city it was in the newspaper once that they're trying to cut funding because they're out of money. Will any of the PG&E money go towards maintaining that?
No, PG&E money, I believe, is only used for the construction and kind of like repairs related to that, but not for like long-term maintenance, as far as I'm aware.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Currently, there's no one with their hand up. So again, if anyone would like to ask a question or make a comment, feel free to raise your hand. And it appears that Sean P. Would like to make a comment. So Sean, you should be able to talk once you're unmute.
Hi, Steve. Thank you. I'm going to go back on to tag on to Wendy's concern about the traffic. And this goes back to that section that they just most recently changed to the bike lane. It seems that we created the bike lane down there all the way down to Cleveland and past Cleveland, and nobody rides their bike on that lane. There's no one there. And you put up the bollards there, and that bike lane hasn't been cleaned since those bollards were put in, which is not going to make people ride their bikes down there anyways. So we're talking about, as Wendy's talking about, all this extra traffic that was created for the bike lanes that don't get used. You're monitoring them, but has anyone monitored them since they've gone in? Because I would love to have footage of any bikes that use that. It's not even, the bicyclists won't even use those lanes because of how dirty they are. Drive along there and you can see there's weeds in the bike lanes now from right there at the intersection from southbound 101 all the way down to Biner. No bikes use that because they aren't clean lanes. So is there a way we can take those bollards down, or is there a way to, where's the monitoring? You said that we're monitoring it, but what are the outcomes of the monitoring? What's the data that shows that that is effective versus the traffic that we're creating?
So one of our things we did just work with Recycology, is that the company? Recycology and ourselves, and we've bought I don't know exactly what it looks like, but to clean so they can come through and clean those areas. So I don't know where we are, so I can look up the process of if we already have that, if Recycology has that, but that's to clean out those bike lanes now. So that's one, to get rid of those weeds in there. And then our goal as a city is to make our streets usable for all. So that's why we have the bike lanes through there, our sidewalks, so that everyone is able to utilize our road systems. I hope I answered that question for you.
I do also want to add that those bike lanes were requested through our community outreach we did in 2023. And so it was just it was also partly in response to that request by the community.
And sorry, I'm going to add more to that. We are trying to make it so that all the way from the Coffee Park area, we are now, I think the groundbreaking is happening soon for the bike overcrossing all the way down to that mall down there to get to the college as well. So this is kind of a part of the whole picture of making it accessible all the way down there with the bike lanes as well.
All right, our next question or comment comes from, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Chris Gunther. Chris, you should be able to make your comment once you unmute.
Hi there. Thanks. I want to just build on the discussion of the last two commenters, and full disclosure, I'm a co-leader of Bikeable Santa Rosa, which is an all-volunteer campaign that advocates for a connected bike network in the city. And so we've been involved in the planning process for this project and a number of others. I just want to say I'm super sensitive to traffic concerns, but on the first one about left turns where you have road diets, I just think it's important to say that when you're turning across two lanes of traffic, where we have a lot of roads in Santa Rosa that were widened all the way out to the edges to accommodate 4 lanes of traffic, 2 in each direction, it's actually harder to turn in those situations, and there's a lot more traffic conflicts and a lot more accidents. So where we are putting in some road diets and where we're having left turn pockets in the middle of the road, that's a lot safer and a lot more flexible for left turns. That doesn't necessarily solve the commenter's problem, but I think it's an important principle to keep in mind. And also, on the last commenter's point, I've ridden in those bike lanes. I realize that when you drive by and you don't see a cyclist in it every single day, you can conclude nobody rides it. But as somebody who rides it, I just beg to differ. And also, I would love if more people rode in the bike lanes. And certainly one of the reasons why people don't is because of the cleaning. So we've advocated around that. And as well, one of the reasons we don't ride is because there's poor connectivity. So as the city staff just mentioned, connecting down to the new bicycle overcrossing across 101 and actually having complete and connected routes is kind of the key to opening this up. And there's just a ton of evidence that that's what happens when cities complete these routes and make the road actually feasible. If you had to drive from your house to work and there wasn't a road that went all the way from one, you know, one destination or you know, your origin to your destination, and you didn't think it was safe all the way, you wouldn't drive there either. So not to, you know, sort of escalate things at all, I just want to say that there's other perspectives, and hopefully we can take a long-term vision for what this could look like when we have the full build out.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. And I see no hands up. So again, if you would like to make a comment or ask a question, please feel free to raise your hand. Felicia, I see no hands raised at this point.
Okay, I did see one question. Somebody had asked where you can find the plans for the project. You can find it online on our city website. If you just Google City of Santa Rosa CIP projects and then look for the project number 2406, then you can find all the supporting documents there. Other than that, seeing no further questions, I would like to express my appreciation and thanks to the members of the community for participating tonight. We appreciate your taking the time to listen, ask questions, and provide your input. Next slide. To stay informed, I want to remind everyone that the webpage for the project is hopperavproject.com, where you can find information on upcoming progress, upcoming construction, and project background. On the website, you can also subscribe to receive construction updates, and you can also send a request to subscribe to the newsletter or any other questions you may have to the info@hopperavproject.com. Our project information phone number is 707-387-4031. And I'd like to remind you about the city's special web page dedicated to neighborhood travel routes during an emergency, srcity.org/knowyourwaysout. We'll leave the screen up for a few minutes, and tonight's presentation slides will be posted to the website by tomorrow morning, and a video of the meeting will be posted no later than Monday of next week. Thank you and good night.